Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Real Positive Girl podcast with me, Sabrina. This is the show that helps you become your best self. And today we are talking about how to know you're insecure, understanding insecurities. But before we jump into that, as always, I want to invite you to come say hi to me on social media. I'm at Sabrina Joy Perozo on both TikTok and Instagram. If you didn't know, you can now DM people on TikTok, whether they are following you or not. So come DM me both on both Instagram, TikTok. Come say hi. Let's be friends online. I would love that. You can also just send me an email at realpositivegirlpodcast@gmail.com. So if you want to say hi, you have any questions, you want to submit a topic suggestion, whatever you like, whatever you need, I am there for you in the emails. If you take a look down into the show notes below, you will see a lot of things. You will again see how to spell my name. If you want to come say hi to me on social media, you'll see the email address. You'll also see where you can submit topic suggestions anonymously if that is what you need. You can also vent anonymously via a Google form. Again, I will not know it's you, but if you do not have anyone that is emotionally available in your life to vent to, I got you right there. Go ahead, submit it. I check them every now and again. And then I'll just look and see what people are going through, pray over that, and then I'll be done with it. Because again, I won't know it's you because it's anonymous. The other thing I want to pull your attention to is very brand new. Very brand new. It actually just happened like a couple hours ago. Maybe not even that long. So I've talked about how you can go out and purchase the Emotions Everyday Journal Planner Hybrid that I came out with at the end of October of 2022. Now, as of today, it is available for you to purchase on the Amazon platform. Now, get excited. It's just that if you go look like right away, like within the first 7 days, I think, it's not going to have as much content on there to tell you exactly what's in it. So if you do need a better reference for you to see like what the actual pages look like and what the experience of using the planner journal would be like, I highly encourage you to hop over to my website and look at all the photos there, because with Amazon, things kind of go a little bit slower. So you can purchase the journal there on the platform. It just, when you go look at the listing page, there's none of that details about what the pages inside the journal look like yet. It's coming soon. The other benefit of buying it on Amazon now is that you will be able to buy it at a lower price. Now, anyone that's already purchased it at the higher price, yeah, that's just the way that it is. However, you can still purchase it from my website. I still have like physical copies I can send you if you prefer to have it in a really like cute box with stickers and have it like a personal note like written to you from me. There are other very specific differences that I want to go over very quickly, is that the journal that you would buy on Amazon is not going to be as pretty as the one that I am selling direct from me to you, meaning the cover is not going to be like as super glossy as the one that I have. Also, the one on Amazon is not a spiral bound journal. It is just a regular paperback, kind of like a paperback journal planner that you would buy at the store. So those are the big differences. The inside, the pages, all the same. It's just not going to like open as prettily because it's not a, spiral bound, which is like, I feel like king, but that's not an option for being able to sell it on Amazon. So anyway, if you have wanted to purchase the planner journal, but you're like, yeah, I don't know that I could afford to pay the higher price on my website. Totally, I get it. I understand. You're able to get a more basic version of it on Amazon now. So the link will be down in the show notes below. Please check it out. You guys are the first people I'm telling outside of my husband. And so you can go ahead and get a copy there. Again, it does not have a lot of details in pictures. It does list like all the pages that are available in the planner, but it doesn't have all the pictures of what the inside pages look like. If you need that, please go to my website and just look at it for sale on there. You'll see all the pictures, and then you can go back to Amazon and then purchase it. So anyway, that's what I wanted to say about that. Also, just an additional reminder, as I'm making it a habit, is that if you would like to support me in creating better content and being able to do emotional health, sharing tips, all of the things full time, please support me as a monthly donor on Patreon. Link is down in the show notes. Okay, let's go ahead and jump into our topic for the day, which again is how to know you're insecure, understanding insecurities. Being insecure was like a pastime for me growing up. Doesn't that sound crazy? It's just like, a hobby, just something that I did as a child of the 90s. But being insecure, yeah, definitely pastime for me. Yeah. Okay. Well, thinking more deeply about it, it does sound sad. But anyway, we all know that I was a hardcore people pleaser. If you're not new here, if you are new here, just so you know, I definitely was I was driving the struggle bus of being a hardcore people pleaser. Now I'm kind of like a former people pleaser, we're in recovery here. But beyond that, growing up being a people pleaser, I also believed more of what people told me about myself than what I thought of myself. Does that make sense? People would give their opinions and like say what I am or what I'm all about and what I'm good at, what I'm not. And I would accept that as fact as opposed to looking deep inside and using the skills of self-awareness and understanding of who I am and actually having self-esteem. I I would not do that because that would be the proper way. I lacked confidence and self-esteem. So there were very few opportunities for me to feel good about something I did or could do, right? And I'm not saying, let's be clear, I am not saying that I am blaming like me growing up with like people like that and whatever situation I'm in, that is the reason why I was so insecure. It is definitely a piece of it. But also, I feel like as a child, it's harder for you to grasp the ability to, not care what people think about you, especially if you're not getting that in the environment that you're growing up in which I definitely did not. So it's a tough thing there, right? But I'm not just saying like, oh my gosh, it was my parents' fault altogether. Because as I got older, I definitely could have like worked on it. It was so ingrained in me anyway. We're not making excuses. I'm just saying I lacked confidence and self-esteem. And I was like number one insecure girl. Like that's where I was. And, there was this standout memory that my therapist and I speak about from time to time to really like put into perspective part of like why I deal with insecurity so deeply. And I say like a standout memory because it's a memory that comes top of mind often when I think of different reasons for how I respond or react to things in my life based upon this experience. So, and it's a pretty short story. So, where you're like, oh, do I need to get some popcorn? You can if you want. I remember being 9 years old and had these plastic like toy blocks, not really blocks though, that connected together to like to create like whatever you wanted, right? You could build like a house or like a truck, or you can build, you know what I mean? Like they connected together on like all sides and they were like square looking. I couldn't even think of what like the real toy would be called because I'm pretty sure whatever I had was like the off brand. But anyway, nonetheless, you could like, some sort of like builder toy for kids. And honestly, to be honest with you, I'm pretty sure that these pieces were pieces like collected together from various like Happy Meals. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. So yeah, this builder toy. So I remember sitting in the living room of the apartment that my dad and I lived in and deciding to make something to hold our TV remotes in because my dad had mentioned previously, like not recently, but like, days or maybe weeks before, that it was difficult to find all the remotes because there wasn't a spot for these to be all the time. And when I say all the remotes, it's definitely not like the craziness that maybe people would have today. Or actually, I feel like it's gotten better because you can like program one remote to do a lot of things. But I think we had like 2 or 3 remotes because there was like one for the TV, and I think one for like the VCR, and I think one for like the cable. And that was like the multiple remotes that we had. So anyway, um, yeah, so he had mentioned that it was really difficult and there was like not like a spot for them to be by like the couch or the chair. There was in the living room, right? So I built this like little caddy out of this like builder toy things that I'm talking about to house the remotes. And I felt really proud about that. I was like, okay, I'm going to solve this problem, right? I'm going to help. I'm going to be a helper of this single dad that is raising me. I'm going to do something, right? And I felt so proud about it. But this is like the important part of the story. When I went to show it to my dad and be like, oh my gosh, look what I made, right? I helped solve a problem, right? He said something to the effect of, that's great, but have you done this? And I can't exactly remember what it was. Like, have you done this? Is probably like a chore or something else. Or even this to help, which that would have been like organizing something or telling someone about something that he does. And, really just pushing it all back to like him, right? He's like, that's great, but really what you're saying is not important to me at all whatsoever. And so the whole experience led me to believe that making a decision on my own, being autonomous, like things that the thing we're supposed to like grow into as we become like adult human beings, making a decision on my own to do something helpful was the wrong thing to do. And that the things I was proud of, that I was like proud about, didn't matter to others. Like that's literally the thought process that it was like me going through. And I'm just like, okay, great. I tried to solve a problem for you. You didn't really care. It was all about like, did you solve the problems that I gave you to solve? Yeah. And it just really sucked, right? And I just remember thinking like, man, I was really trying to help. And don't get me like, I have helped in so many ways growing up. And I'm not here really to defend myself. It's just more of like, it was that moment where it was like all my own idea and I was going to do something and I thought it was big. I was 9, come on. And it didn't turn out, and I definitely have been afraid and have that fear and that insecurity for a long time about wanting to just create something, right? Because even now I do feel insecure about creating something or doing something that I think could be helpful that wasn't actually like directly requested or said like you should do this. But I try to remember that even if one person doesn't find something helpful, like my dad did not find that helpful, it doesn't mean that someone else wouldn't, right? It doesn't mean that like if I were to build that at someone else's house with their toys, that their parents wouldn't appreciate that. Or it doesn't mean that because I kind of like even thinking about the podcast, like let's think about the podcast, just because one person doesn't find this podcast helpful to them, that's totally fine. It doesn't mean that other people aren't going to find it helpful, right? And the same thing could be said about restaurants or services that people provide or really anything in the world. And I have to like wrap my brain around that and keep my mind coming back to that so that I don't lose hope in like, working towards stuff, creating things, doing things, following through with ideas and dreams and goals and affirmations. No, that's not what I meant to say. What word did I mean to say there? Guys, I don't know. I don't know what word I meant to say there. I'm so sorry though. But like dreams and goals and what's the word I'm thinking of, guys? Goals and I don't know. I'll think of it later. It'll like pop in my head at the worst time during the episode. But anyway, you know what I'm talking about. So I just have to like recenter my mind in remembering that just because one person doesn't appreciate it doesn't mean there won't be anyone that doesn't appreciate it. And when I am feeling unworthy or less than, or like I don't matter, which unfortunately these feelings do come up often for me. This is like a core thing that I am working through. And it's probably going to be the next thing that I talk about in therapy because there's been a lot of things that I have been focusing on in therapy. And now we're ready. We're ready for like a new thing to focus on. And I think this is going to be one of those. But when I feel that way, I try to examine what is contributing to feeling this way and whether or not this is a true insecurity or something that is fleeting, right? Because just because you feel insecure about something in the moment, it doesn't mean that that's like a forever insecurity, like one that you're grasping on, that's like your best bud, like hanging out with you all the time. It could just be a moment where you feel that, but then it's just like, that temporary fear. Then you're able to like push past it and you're like, whatever. So that's not a thing. Happens every now and again, right? So that would be fleeting compared to an insecurity that's just like stuck on you like glue. So when you're dealing with like a true insecurity, you feel doubt, you feel fear or uncertainty about yourself. There's a lot of like research I was reading that talks about how insecurity is a direct after effect of fear, right? When you're insecure about something, you have a fear about something. You have a fear about something not happening. You have a fear about what people are going to think about you. You have a fear about something like not working out. You have a lot of fear. And, fear, doubt, uncertainty, having these feelings from time to time again is no big deal, right? And totally normal. Totally normal and healthy for you to question yourself, be like, I don't know about this, But if you find it becoming something that weighs heavily on you and you think about it often, or it's like getting in the way of you actually doing things, living your life, stepping out of your comfort zone even, you're going to need to address it so it doesn't cause ongoing issues for you. The last thing you need is for it to continue to get in your way of actually accomplishing your goals and dreams and your desires in life and wanting to move forward. That's the last thing you want. You want to have all these insecurities just like creating this like big wall that will be really difficult to break down. It kind of reminds me of the wall in Game of Thrones, where it's like the wall, and no one can get through it until they tell those people could because, they found big monsters that could. But yeah, you need to like really be aware of these insecurities getting in your way. And you're probably struggling with being insecure if a quick list of things that I'm going to share with you, just so you can kind of get like a brief overview of like, okay, well, what does it look like to be insecure? Because maybe you don't feel like you're insecure. Maybe you feel like everything that you're feeling is fleeting, or you're unsure, or maybe it's not even like a thing that you started thinking about and then you saw this episode and you're like, let's see, let's check, let's take a check. So this will kind of like, you're probably struggling with being insecure if you are some of these things. So if you feel inadequate, right? I was talking about that, feeling inadequate, feeling unworthy, less than, right? Or you often feel jealous or envious because you're so insecure with your life and what you have that you're continuously wanting what other people have to the point of jealousy and envy, and really, 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 really deeply wanting those things, and also not wanting them to have those things because you don't have those things, right? If you're highly critical of yourself, definitely insecure, definitely could be struggling from that because you're always like nitpicking on like what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong, and really just like being super hard on yourself. Fear rejection. If you feel rejection or being abandoned by people, I would say that it's highly probable that you are dealing with feeling insecure because you don't want people to reject you, and that feels like a failure. That feels like the worst thing that could happen, or people abandon you. It's just like this heartbreak. It's like this, how can you survive alone? Like, what does that mean? What does that look like to other people about you? You know what I mean? And then the last one is like, if you are a people pleaser or a perfectionist. And I'm not going to talk a lot about those because, again, I already mentioned like me being a people pleaser at the top. And I also did struggle from being a perfectionist for the longest time, and how those things are linked with being insecure. Because when you're a people pleaser, right, you're putting yourself way last, if at all, in line, and everyone else is first. And you will definitely struggle with the insecurity to be yourself, which is why you're deciding to just like be everything for everyone else, because you find them to be more important and yourself is not worthy enough of just acting and being who you are and sharing that with the world. No, you have to change and adapt and be a chameleon for everyone else's life because you think that's more important than yours. And so insecurities, when we think about it, and maybe that can give you kind of like a little step in the direction of like, wow, maybe I am struggling with being insecure. But insecurities can become something that's even harder to manage when it's like coupled and combined with comparison, right? And you might be thinking, well, Sabrina, like you already talked about some things where it's like if you are, jealous or whatever, comparing, then you are insecure. And sure, but like if you really think of like how you're insecure on of let's say your fear of rejection, right? And that is like an insecurity in you. But if you couple that with comparison, it can feel even worse, and your insecurity could drive even like deeper into you because you are, you don't want rejection from other people. You don't want to have that feeling of failure like over your head, but then also you compare yourself to other people and how they made the same mistakes, yet they weren't rejected, or these other people that are doing the same things in their life, yet, they will never be rejected, or they don't have the fear of rejection. And that just, it's like, why? It just feels very unfair. So we can feel insecure about the way that, like, here's another good example that I pulled right from me, personal experience. We can feel insecure about the way that we sing because we have been told that it's not the best or it doesn't sound the same as others, right? And I actually like singing. I do sing on the worship team at church, but there have been times, like, especially when I was younger, it's not like my voice wasn't as tuned in as it could have been, didn't put enough work into it at that point. So because people told me that it's like not the best or doesn't sound the same, but when you couple that with thinking it needs to be the same as someone else's, you are really rooting in that deep insecurity, because not only now are you believing the opinions of other people saying it's not that great or it doesn't sound the same as others, now you're adding on this comparison of like, well, okay, well, apparently my voice now needs to sound like Whitney Houston or Mariah Carey, and I'll never get that way. And now it's just going to be like, well, I can't sing now because I'm not going to, be able to check off those things on this long list now that I've created of being insecure around my singing voice, or like whatever it is, you know what I mean? So it can be really tough. Like, I just wanted to highlight the fact that like insecurity plus comparison in like whatever way of the thing that you're that you're insecure about, that could be like your finances, your job, your body, like where you live, a talent or a skill that you have. It just really doubles down. It just really doubles down is what I'm saying. So be aware. Just give them information here. If you're unsure how to tell if you struggle with being insecure or not, which is kind of like what we've been talking about so far, then you're in luck, because that's exactly what we're going to talk about today for our tips section. So this episode will share tips on how to determine if you're struggling with insecurity, which we're about to get to in a minute. And the next episode at the end of the week, the one that releases on Friday, will go over how to manage your insecurities so those don't end up controlling you, which is a lot of times what happens. It's like we have this fear of being rejected, and that controls us from allowing us to step outside of our comfort zone and do more things, and actually allowing ourselves to fail and make mistakes and really test out that if we are rejected, then it's really more of a reflection of the other people and not us, and things like that. So yeah, listen to this one and then be excited to listen to the one that comes out next. That'll tell you how to manage your insecurities. So before we get into the tips, as always, I want to give you my little spiel because it's important that I do. So I'm about to give you 5 signs of someone struggling with being insecure. But if you find that the signs and the list and the tips and the advice that I'm about to give you does not align with what you think would help you determine whether you're struggling with being insecure or not, I encourage you to seek a therapist or a counselor, and they'll help you figure out what would align best with you. Because again, everything that I'm sharing is based on my own knowledge and research, my experience, and the experiences of others that I'm allowed to share. If you find that you don't want to talk to a therapist or a counselor, totally cool, totally fine. I encourage you to go to our best friend, Google, and type in how to know if you're struggling with being insecure or whatever that is. And you'll probably come up with a lot of research and articles and blogs and things and videos for you to watch to help you better determine if you are struggling with being insecure. Okay, here are 5 signs of someone struggling with being insecure. The first one is you can't feel good about yourself until you brag about yourself to others. So often, you living in your insecurity want to step your big old boot on other people's necks, and you can't feel good about yourself until you're telling everyone about like how great you are or how smart you are or how you accomplish this, that, and the other. And that is like the focus topic of every single conversation, because you need people to know that you are here and you are the best. That's the kind of thing, right? You are so insecure about someone thinking that you're not smart or that you're not amazing and you're great about all these 10 things that you need to update them on and share. And you need to totally brag about yourself. Tell yourself how amazing you are to everyone else. And that is definitely a sign of insecurity, Because again, you're so insecure about people thinking less than you or not thinking you're awesome or maybe not even thinking of you at all, that you have to share and brag about yourself to this like extreme level. You know, does that make sense? Okay, I think you get it. Number 2, you often undercut other people's opinions. You often undercut other people's opinions. So basically, you disagree with everyone else to elevate your own opinion. So it's kind of like one-upping everyone. So let's say that you enter a conversation. And again, this is just like in theory, if you're struggling with insecurity, you know, you get to make that call, that decision. But let's say you enter a conversation and someone is like, yeah, you know, like snow comes from this type of cloud. And you're like, actually, it doesn't. The name of the cloud is actually this, and it only comes around during these temperatures and blah, 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 right? And so you're entering that conversation with needing to disagree with everyone says, just so you can kind of like one up them and what they're saying so that you can be seen as the person that's more right than them. And you might get more respect, you might get more attention, and you think that people are going to like you more. And it helps people, again, see you as someone that's valued, someone that's smart, someone that they should be interacting with, which you think that's what's going to happen. And a lot of times the opposite doesn't, because they're just like, oh, why? You didn't say anything different, really. You just added scientific words or stuff like that. You know what I mean? And so really just pushing their, like, who they are and their agenda onto other people and disagreeing with them because they need to look as good as they can. So you often undercut other people's opinions. Number 3, you allow past experiences to dictate future ones. You allow past experiences to dictate future ones. So an example would be that you probably got burned in the past, meaning someone decided to, you know, break up with you or leave you or whatever, or someone just like took advantage of you and you don't want to relive being rejected or abandoned. And so you're like, okay, well, never again. I'm not going to get into this relationship or I'm not going to get into this situation ever again, right? Just one time. Or you stood up for yourself once and it didn't work out, so never again, right? And so you're so insecure about that situation happening again, about someone taking advantage of you, or someone like, you know, stealing from you, someone talking down to you when you're actually trying to stand up for yourself. And it just seems like it's all going sideways and you think it's going to happen again. Then yeah, you're like, I'm never doing this again. And that's definitely a common sign of someone being insecure because you're insecure about that one thing happening. So you are doing everything you can to prevent yourself from like reliving that again, even if that means missing out on opportunities where you could grow and become your best self, opportunities that help you like excel and meet your goals. And it's kind of crazy to me, right? It's just like you allow these like one-time things, or maybe it happened a couple times, but you're like, no, I got burned. We're not doing that again, as opposed to trying to figure out a better way to go through that experience, situation, or whatever it was. So you allow past experiences to dictate future ones. And we shouldn't do that. I'm like holding myself back from actually like giving, you know, like a commentary on like how we would turn this and manage it better. But I'm going to wait. We're going to wait till next episode. So so you allow past experiences to dictate future ones. Number 4 is a good one. I mean, they're all good ones, but this is a good one. You're defensive. You're defensive. You're defensive. You know, often it's something that I'm trying to grow out of. I am often defensive. I am. It's a bad habit. And my husband is often defensive too. And it's like, it sucks when like 2 defensive people come at each other. Ooh, it's not good. We're working on it though, together. It's a struggle. I don't think I'm driving that bus, but I'm definitely up near the front. But yeah, you can definitely see that you're struggling with insecurity or you are insecure if you are defensive. You don't want to be categorized as anything negative or lacking of anything. So you fight back any opinion that might denote that instead of just letting these opinions go. So you're like, okay, I don't need anyone to say that like, oh, you're not doing that great. And you're like, no, I'm actually doing really great. I'm actually doing really great, or you don't understand. These other 10 people said I'm doing absolutely fantastic. And it just means that you don't know what you're talking about and you have no idea, and you should not be discussing whether I am doing great or not. That's like a really like dramatic example, but it is, I feel like it's a good one of being defensive. So you are literally pushing back on any sort of possibility of you being characterized as anything lower than this esteemed, amazing, awesome person. And you're definitely going to throw things back in other people's faces because you can't possibly be seen as anything lower than what you think you are, right? And it's a classic sign of insecurity that when you just start being completely defensive about whatever's being spoken about, it just means that you are not fully comfortable and what's the word I'm thinking? I'm like losing a lot of words, man. What happened to my thesaurus today, guys? Like took a break today. But it's just like you're not so secure. You're not secure. Wow, how did I? Okay, let's not even get into it. You're instead of being secure in knowing that you are this type of person and you're capable of doing this, that, and the other, you lean more into insecurity and like attacking someone and getting up in people's faces so that they don't say anything negative about you, so that you can continue to have like positive rapport with people that you have to deal with on the regular, right? So being uber defensive, definitely a sign of being insecure. And I feel like a lot of our goals should be to like be secure in a lot of things, but it's a slippery slope sometimes. And someone just says something and it's just like you give them the side eye and then you're like, oh no, here we go. I gotta like take you down with my words, man. It's not good. I'm speaking to myself too. It's not good. Okay, number five. Number five, and our last one I'm going to share today on a sign someone is struggling with insecurity. You're negative about what you're doing and or what others are doing. You're negative about what you're doing and or what others are doing. So the second half of this is projection, where like you're negative about what other people are doing, right? And the first part of it is taking up residence in your own bit of despair, where you're just like, you're negative about everything you're doing. You feel so insecure about your ability to give the presentation or talk to customers or be able to turn in like really good essay for homework or, homeschool your kids or do whatever. Have a hard conversation with your friends. Manage your finances, like whatever it is, right? You're just negatively talking down about yourself. You're like, I can't do this. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm a failure, blah, 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 right? Super negative self-talk on yourself. And that's harsh, right? You're definitely just decided, hey, I'm going to live in this pit of despair. This is where I'm going to be. Used to be an Airbnb, but nope, taking back this residence, right? And that can be really tough. Because you can get stuck there if you aren't more aware of how negatively and how badly it's affecting you and the relationships around you. If you can't like shake it and be like, wait, I got to wake up. I got to figure this out. Life can be better. It's okay. But going back to the second half, where you're negative about what other people are doing, it's generally like you're projecting. So you feel insecure about how you don't remember people's birthdays and you encounter someone that like forgot someone's birthday that some other people in the group remembered, and you give them a hard time about it. And you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you forgot their birthday. Like that's so important. It's like one of the most important facts about someone. How could you forget that? Don't you feel bad about right? You're digging into them. You're really giving them your all, projecting your insecurity about being like really bad about remembering people's birthdays onto someone that is also struggling with that same thing. So instead of like having a camaraderie of like, hey man, you know what? I know I forget people's birthdays too. It's a struggle. Maybe we should figure out some sort of mnemonic device for us to remember people's birthdays. No, instead of that, you're just like, hey, you know what? You really suck because you don't know how to remember people's birthdays. I'm not going to tell you that I'm struggling with that as well. I just want to make you look bad because I feel very uncomfortable about that thing. And I feel very insecure about that thing that is a fault in me. I feel like projection is one of the top ways for people to display their insecurities. It's actually a comment that I make a lot on social media or to friends in conversations because it happens more than we even realize it's happening. And I actually read a piece of research preparing for this episode talking about how projection of our insecurities onto other people is not necessarily a choice. It's a defense mechanism that just comes naturally to us. And I have to research that more, but I'm inclined to agree because oftentimes when we are projecting on other people, our insecurities, we are not realizing that we're doing it. It's not like, hey, we're gonna be mean in this moment. No, it's just like we are being mean. We are being a jerk in that moment because we're so deeply wrapped up in how uncomfortable our insecurity causes us to feel that we have to share that pain with someone else because we can't possibly burden all of that pain of our own insecurities. Isn't that interesting? Anyway, I wish there was a way for me to talk more about that. Maybe I will. Let me know. Send me an email, send me a DM if you're interested in me talking more about like projecting your insecurities onto other people. I could make that an episode, probably like next week. I think that could be helpful. I don't know. Probably a shorter one, but it would be good. But that's it. That's all 5 signs of someone struggling with insecurity, being insecure. And that's all I have to share with you on this topic. So I hope it was helpful. I appreciate everyone listening, downloading, and sharing the show. I do encourage you to share the show as much as you can. It's like one of the best ways to help me if you are not interested in doing so financially. But thank you so much for listening to the Real Positive Girl podcast. Again, with me, Sabrina. Please check the show notes below. Maybe you're interested in signing up for the weekly newsletter. I didn't even talk about that at the top of the show, but we have a weekly newsletter. It's getting better every week, currently, trying to add fun things to it. I was supposed to add a recipe to it last week. I forgot. It's going to be in this week's because I've already created it. I just got to drop it in to the whole format when I build the newsletter. So stay tuned for that. It's one of our favorite meals we can eat. We like to eat in our family that I could also eat on this elimination diet that I'm currently on. You can check the show notes for how to say hi to me on social media. You can also check out my first product on Amazon.com. Again, the journal. It's more of a stripped down version of it. You're not going to get stickers, not going to get a special note from me, and it's not going to be spiral bound. But it's going to be all the same content on the inside, and the cover will still be the same on the outside, just not as glossy for half the price. So check that out, all those links, everything down there. But until next time, have a good one, and I will see y'all next time, okay? Bye, you guys. I don't know what's wrong with me.